Before my official welcome, for any of you who are a little confused at my attire, I will just say, good afternoon. No, Patty Rooney is not back, but we remember him fondly. Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of York, the 26th largest Rotary Club in the world, and a club dedicated to imagining and living out the Rotary motto of service above self. I am Glenn Miller, the club president. Our opening song today, America the Beautiful, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by President-elect Aaron Jacobs. Our invocation will be led by Eric Chase, and our visitors and visiting Rotarians will be introduced by Joe Elondo. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices.
Thank you, Pastor President Glenn. Not past president yet. We got a couple more weeks. Rotarians, please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you prepare yourself in the way you're most accustomed to prayer? Gracious God, we thank you for this time to be. You call us human beings, not human doings. And although we're called to serve, let us be with each other at this time. Let us be in relationship and let us be in your presence. We thank you for our speaker today, coming to us from the Northern Central Railway of York, as they share their history and stories of the Northern Central Railway, and as they help to build and be an engine for the economic community, especially in Southern York County. We thank you for this food, the hands that have prepared it, and those that have served us. May we use it to nourish our bodies, so may we continue to serve above self as we're called in Rotary. And it's in the many names we call you that we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon. I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Glenn has welcomed you. Christine Nentwig, guest of past President Ann Druck. Judy Simpson, guest of our speaker. Alyssa Bainbridge, guest of past President Brian Tate. Reese Neff, guest of Leanne Wilson. Elizabeth Waite, guest of Laura Wagner. Seth Byers, guest of Walt Tilley. Hank Leidy, guest of Walt Tilley. Eric Lawrence, guest of Tom Caltagirone. AJ Hernandez, guest of Glenn Spinello. Phil Yates, guest of John Yates. James Anderson IV, guest of James Anderson III, and Willis Anderson, also guest of James Anderson III.
Did I baptize those two? I'm trying to remember. I thought so. How wonderful. That's why I wore the collar today. Friends, we are delighted to welcome you here to the Rotary Club of York. I know you will enjoy this program today, and I trust you are already enjoying being with these lively and diverse community leaders who surround you at your tables. I hope that you'll return to visit us again, and even better, consider becoming a member of this club. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. You may be seated. Several announcements for the good of the order. The Youth Exchange Committee will meet on June 15th at high noon via Zoom. The Fellowship Committee will hold a wine tasting at Mark and Val Wineries in downtown York on Wednesday, June 21st, a week from today, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Tastings will include samples of their wines and an assortment of cheeses. The cost for participation is $30, and we have a bonus for any Rotarian who attends this event, 2 complimentary tickets to the 2023 York Fair. What could be better? Please RSVP by today to past President Rob Bowen. We learned yesterday, as I'm sure many of you did as well, that the United Way's search for a new leader has concluded, and that the new leader of the United Way of York is our own Brian Grimm. Brian, where are you? Brian, our sincere congratulations. As I told Brian yesterday, the best part of this selection is that he is not leaving the Rotary Club of York because the man knows his priorities. Congratulations, Brian, and to Jules Tolbert and the United Way Board. And of course, to Amy Wanamaker, who's now worked her way out of a job, but is going to stay in the Rotary Club of York. We have every confidence of that. And now it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Ophelia Chambliss, who very graciously accepted my invitation for her to speak to us today about an important national holiday coming up soon, Juneteenth. Ophelia.
I wrote it down. All right, so what is Juneteenth? A lot of people keep hearing about that and they don't really know what it is. So I want to let you know what it is. So Juneteenth is referred to as the effective day at the end of slavery in the United States after the Civil War. It is essentially a second Independence Day, which is celebrated by Black Americans as the day that all Americans were deemed free. January 1st of 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation had taken effect, and it relied on the word of mouth to reach many of the people in the controlled Confederate States. It took 2 years and 6 months, that's the date of June 19th of 1865, for the news to reach Texas, for more than 250,000 enslaved individuals to receive word that they were free. It was upon the arrival of Major General Gordon Granger and the Union troops into Galveston Bay, Texas, that these enslaved Americans were made aware of the executive decree. Approximately 150,000 of these individuals were migrated into Texas by their owners, just so that they could extend their practices and yield another harvest. Following the news that Black folks sought to reunite with their family members, they were separated from them for many years through the practices of enslavement. And now that they were once free, they were able to rejoin and to celebrate their independence, much like we celebrate the 4th of July. This is very often celebrated with family reunions, and you can see that today. Black families get together in the parks, in different cities, they join together as part of this reuniting and celebration of Juneteenth. Juneteenth was declared a national holiday on June 2021. And it is this national recognition that comes with a renewed sense of equal urgency that allows for an opportunity and education that is available to everyone within these underserved and underrepresented communities. And there's a fierce urgency of now. In the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is the time for vigorous and positive action. This Juneteenth is to be recognized as a national holiday. There's an urgency of now. Tomorrow is today. Happy Juneteenth. Celebrate with us. Celebrate for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ophelia, for lifting up and giving us some insight into this extremely important observance in our community. As most all of you know, our fellow Rotarian, Brian Tate, has been involved for many years in the Miss PA pageant. And today, as you heard in the visitor introductions, Brian has brought the current Miss Pennsylvania to our club and is here now to introduce her. Brian.
So this is a wonderful surprise. If any of you were at the Revs last night or saw on Facebook the Miss Pennsylvania Show Us Your Shoes parade, we had an outstanding time featuring Miss Pennsylvania Alyssa Bainbridge, Miss Pennsylvania's teen Jersey Smith, and the 27 delegates for Miss Pennsylvania and the 13 delegates for Miss Pennsylvania's teen. York is the proud host to the Miss Pennsylvania competition. We're especially thrilled to be at the Appel Center and at the Yorktown Hotel. So if you would please join me in welcoming Miss Pennsylvania, who has a few remarks for you. Alyssa.
Hello, good afternoon. Well, today is a very special, but also a very bittersweet day for me because this is my last official appearance as Miss Pennsylvania. I will crown a new Miss Pennsylvania this Saturday. All of our candidates are here in town already. We did some really fun things throughout the week since they've been here, but they're over at the Appel Center right now, rehearsing and getting ready for Saturday's show. But very full circle because I did my very first appearance as Miss Pennsylvania here in York, and now I'm doing my last appearance as Miss Pennsylvania here in York. And the York community has embraced not only me, but our entire Miss PA Scholarship Foundation since we moved Miss Pennsylvania to York a few years ago. So I just want to thank the York community for being so supportive of Miss Pennsylvania. I know some of our supporters are sitting right here in this room, so I wanted to extend that genuine thank you to you because we could not do this and put on this show and give out scholarship money to these young women without the support of York, and we wouldn't be able to give them the amazing week that we are. And while I'm sad to say goodbye to this, I'm very excited for a new young woman to have this opportunity. This year has been a dream for me. I dreamed of being Miss Pennsylvania since I was 9 years old and did so much this year that I'm proud of, and that was fun. I got to do really cool stuff like hanging out with Punxsutawney Phil at Groundhog Day, going to the Mummers Day Parade in Philadelphia. But a lot of my year was spent advocating for my community service initiative, which is called Tyler's Triumph, the More Than Project. And it's all about empowering people living with mental health and substance use disorders, because I grew up with two siblings who struggled pretty seriously with mental illness, and I lost my older brother Tyler to an opioid overdose a few years ago. So a lot of my work this year was centered around mental health and the opioid crisis. I went into schools all over the state and I taught kids how to take care of their mental health, how to take care of each other, and how we can be allies and stand up to stigma. And I had thousands of students take the More Than Stigma pledge to do just that. So it's been an amazing, amazing year. We can't wait for a new young woman to have her own unique year and special opportunities. And before I step down, I would like to invite all of you to join us at the Appel Center for the Performing Arts tomorrow night, Friday night, and Saturday night. All of our candidates will be competing. We'll crown a new Miss Pennsylvania's teen on Friday night, and then Saturday night we will meet our new Miss Pennsylvania. So we would love to see each and every one of you there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alyssa, for being with us. It's an honor that we happen to be the Rotary Club of York, your last speaking engagement of the year. We're glad to be hosting you. Thanks for what you've done throughout the state in your work this past year. As it happens, a member of my staff is competing for Miss Pennsylvania this week. So our office is very excited to be cheering her on. We wish you all the best in the next chapter of your life, which I'm sure is going to be amazing. And now Walt Tilley is coming forward with a presentation from Youth Exchange. Walt.
I don't know exactly what it says if I'm following Miss Pennsylvania. I don't know how you did that or why. Thank you. I'm here, of course, for Youth Exchange. You heard a few weeks ago from our two current inbound students, Jean Lafort from France and Julian Theory from Belgium. And you heard their stories, you heard what they've accomplished and what they've achieved and what it meant for them to be here. We do this every year. And every year, our largest challenge is finding host families. And this year is no exception. We are challenged to find host families. When John and Jillian spoke to us about a month ago, I told you that we needed host families and we needed them sooner than we ever needed them before, because we need to have them in place in order that our incoming students can get their visas. Because we must identify the host family and then we put it on the guarantee forms that we send. And then that can enable the counselors in the other country, in this case, Indonesia and Sweden, to begin the application process for the visa. The application process for the visa takes about 2 months. The students are to arrive in mid-August. So we are now at the 2-month mark. That's why I'm here. We need host families. We especially need first host families for students in York Suburban and in Dallastown. So if you know of anyone, or if you would please communicate with your fellow workers, with your friends, with your neighbors, we would really appreciate it. We're really coming up on a sharp deadline here. It's very important. So any help that you can provide to us, we would greatly appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we're all very proud of this program of the club, and rightly so, but the program is only as strong as our willingness to support it. And so I hope that someone is moved to step forward and help to solve this current problem. And now, continuing on the hit parade, Dee Baker has a word to bring to us from the fundraising committee. Dee.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to announce today that we are gearing up for this fall's Love for Community. This year, we have a new logo. It represents all 5 sports, and I'm using the term sports loosely, but we've got golf, we've got tennis, we've got pickleball, we've got croquet, and we have cornhole. So everyone in the room is an athlete. On September 11th. We want to see everybody come out, bring your friends. This is our once a year fundraiser here at Rotary, and we do it for the York community that we all love. I'm also thrilled to announce that our 2 presenting sponsors from last year are back. So we have Fox 43 and North Industrial Chemicals back, and they really led the way last year with their new presenting sponsorship. And we raised over $55,000 last year, and we hope to do even more this year. We need to get everybody involved. We're like Santa. The committee's making a list. We're checking it twice, but when we call you, the results will kind of be opposite because we'll be asking you to give back to us. But right now, we are looking for auction items. So if anybody has an experience, has a summer home, wants to give an item, wants to give a gift certificate to your favorite restaurant, we're all ears as we gear up for that part of the event. Mark your calendars, September 11th. Thanks.
Deep thanks to you, Dee, and to the whole committee for this important work. We are very grateful. And now, without further ado, here to introduce our speaker and our program for the day, Rotarian Al Blakey. Al.
I love seeing how big this room is. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. It is my privilege and distinct pleasure this afternoon to introduce you to my friend and former colleague, Ashley Zimmerman, Director of Development at the Northern Central Railway in New Freedom. Ashley is a lifelong York County resident, a graduate of Dover High School, and a 2009 graduate of York College with a degree in marketing. From the age of 3, Ashley studied and performed ballet and later taught dance at various local studios. So while at York College, Ashley was a perfect fit for a marketing internship at Curtain Call Costumes here in York, part of Perform Group, which then hired her full-time upon graduation. For those of you who don't know, Curtain Call was an industry-leading producer of dance recital costumes sold to studios nationwide, originally through catalogs. Over a 10-year period at Perform Group, Ashley rose to a series of promotions from dance sales support to direct studio sales to regional sales management, then national sales management. Ultimately, she became director of sales responsible for all dance and gymnastic costume product lines. Back in 2011, I started working with Perform Group to make the shift from catalog sales toward deploying a team of direct sales representatives in clearly defined territories. Ashley was the prototype. She was the proof of concept model who demonstrated what was possible. Her input was critical to all of the decisions related to training and managing a direct sales force, and the plan worked. A few years after I'd moved on, Ashley was successfully running a nationwide network of 15 sales reps. I was very proud of her. Still am. Sadly, as many of you know, Perform Group is no longer. The COVID-19 pandemic had a brutally devastating impact on dance and gymnastics studios everywhere. In May of 2020, Ashley joined the Northern Central Railway as Director of Development. I vividly remember a reference-checked phone call from one of today's guests, Phil Yates, then a railway board member. Would hiring Ashley be a good idea? Yes, hire her. Ashley's first accomplishment? Through savvy fundraising, she helped the railway survive the pandemic. She has since helped it grow, raising 6 figures to restore engines and coaches. Due to her business acumen and willingness to dig in, Ashley's role has expanded. She understands revenue. So beyond writing grants and soliciting donations, Ashley has become very involved in increasing ridership and ticket sales, both by developing new programs that appeal to kids, adults, and families, and by marketing the railway's programs effectively to its target segments. Outside of work, Ashley has a daughter who is a 7-year-old ballerina, and Ashley thoroughly enjoys being a dance mom. So, all aboard. I am pleased to give you our conductor for this afternoon's program, Ashley Zimmerman.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Who would have thought from tutus to trains, right? I didn't think that, but here I am today. So thank you for having me, everyone. So I would like to ask everybody, who has heard of Northern Central Railway or Steam into History? Raise your hand. Ah, the marketing is working. That makes me very happy. Who has now ridden the train at Northern Central? Excellent. By the end of today, my goal is for all of you to come and visit us at Northern Central Railway so you can experience what we have to offer, and then hopefully get involved in some capacity, because we are quite the railroad family. So speaking of family, oh, you were right. Speaking of family, I do want to point out a few people here in the room that are with us here today. The organization was founded by Bill Simpson and Reed Anderson. We have Bill's lovely wife and one of our board members, Judy Simpson. She is with us here today. Judy has continued to push Bill and Reed's mission, and we are very grateful that she's allowed us to continue this dream of theirs. We also have Hank, who is also Reed Anderson's son, our grandson, and our current president, Jody Anderson Leidy's son. And Hank will be down this weekend volunteering, I believe. And then we also have Phil Yates, who's also in the audience. I don't see him, but I know he's here. There he is. He's also one of our past board members. So I do want to thank, we have lots of members and supporters here in the room, and we're very grateful that you're all here today. So who knows this cast of characters here in this picture? I'm assuming most of you do. So Northern Central Railway Steam into History started about actually the concept started about 20 years ago. And thanks to the Rotary Club, that's how it all started. So the story is that Bill and Reed, after Rotary Club meeting at the Yorktown Hotel, thought about what York County had to offer, its history and its economic development and where things were going into making it a destination, York County, because it had so much to offer. And the story goes is that everybody goes to Lancaster to see the Amish. They go over to Gettysburg, but you're passing through York County. And while everybody loves to stop at Round the Clock Diner, let's have them experience York County. They also happen to love steam trains, and they went out and they raised $2 million and built our steam engine, the William H. Simpson number 17. So we're very happy that they went out and did that, because that's why we're here today. So as a nonprofit, we're a 501c educational nonprofit. We do see ourselves as a living museum, a history on wheels. Come and experience everything that we have to offer. Where else do you get to meet Santa Claus, be robbed by a cowboy, see Abraham Lincoln, or better yet, have Glenn give you a beer on the Northern Central Railway with our ales on the rails? That all happens here at Northern Central. When we started in 2013, unfortunately, Bill had already passed at that point, so he did not have the opportunity to see it come to what it is today. But when we started, it was called Steam into History. It was very history focused. We have an 1806 replica steam engine. Ironically, it's the youngest steam engine in the United States. So that makes it very unique. We realized to become more sustainable and for our own profitability, we realized we need to be more than just history and just focusing on the Civil War history that is so important and rich on that historical line. So we actually moved on, and in 2019, before the pandemic, we rebranded to Northern Central Railway of York. It is the original name of that line that goes the whole way down to Baltimore for our train fans at the B&O Museum. I think we have some train fans. So we rebranded to Northern Central Railway of York, and we also included our new rolling stock of our diesel engine as well. As a 501c3, we do have a mission of economic development. We have a major focus on tourism and making sure people are coming to York, experiencing York, and spending money in our York County businesses so we can all benefit from that. We've been very fortunate to have our great friends at Explore York support us with a lot of marketing initiatives. We've had a strong focus in focusing outside of the York County region. And I am proud to say that 40% of our ridership the last 3 years have been residents outside of York County. So it's working and it's growing, and we're very excited to bring people in to spend money in our community. We also have a wonderful relationship with the Economics Alliance and the Trail Towns program. Are any of you familiar with the Trail Towns program that the Economics has done? Wonderful. So the Trail Towns program is 5 boroughs, 5 of the towns along the Heritage Rail Trail that we all love and use every day. Northern Central Railway, and I can say this because I don't think Silas is here today, but we see ourselves as an anchor to the Trail Towns program. As we're connecting 4 out of the 5 boroughs, we're giving customers, trail users, passengers, the experience to see more of the trail than if they were just to walk or bike the trail. They get to experience it. And we've been very happy to partner with the Natural Farm and Land Trust, Sean, I think, is here today, on a different experiences so that his donors and supporters had the opportunity to see the trail. So we're very excited to continue to work with our different partners in the community and organizations to expand and put back into the community what we've done. What's made us unique and different as a tourist attraction is, first of all, it's a very authentic experience. Like I said, we have the youngest steam engine, but it is in the 1860s. We have some premium equipment as well. Our diesel is a retired Pennsylvania Railroad diesel, which is very exciting and interesting. I know who would have thought I would be excited over a diesel engine, but I am. We also have our beautiful scenery of York County. On our tracks, you actually pass through 3 historical national landmarks: our station, Hanover Junction, where Abraham Lincoln stopped. And we also have the beautiful Howard Tunnel as well, which you can only access by our train unless you bike or ride there too. We have wonderful programming. We have everything, like I said, from Santa Claus. This past weekend, we had over 100 kids enjoy princesses on the Princess Express, the Galactic Express. And we've also partnered with wonderful people like Glenn for brewery tours, for our ales on the rails, or a wine and cheese with local wineries as well. And last, we just started a STEM educational program. We had to call it STEAM, obviously, for our engine of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math that allow children between the ages of 6 and 12 have the opportunity to have STEM education with the fun twist of the training. On our tracks, we have 3 core destinations that our train goes to. Almost every weekend, we're going somewhere different. So you will see that Glen Rock is our home base. We also have Hanover Junction, which is a 2.5-hour train ride, where normally you get to see Lincoln, I will add. And then our last stop is typically the Howard Tunnel, which is a 3-hour train ride, where we actually is serving lunches on the train now at this point. We are about 2 miles shy of downtown York. I know everyone's always asked, this is the most popular question: when are you getting to downtown York? We are working on it. It is still in our plans. We have decided to focus on what we're doing best to continue to become sustainable, but we do hope to get that last stretch of 2 miles so we can make it the whole way down to the baseball stadium. We've had a lot of great accomplishments in the last couple years. First, as I've mentioned, in 2001, we expanded our track through a multimodal grant that allowed us to get to the Howard Tunnel. So that is the first time an engine has been through that Howard Tunnel in over 30 years. So that was a huge accomplishment for our organization, and we were so thrilled. We launched our STEM education with the help of Shipley Foundation, and that allowed children to come and learn to drive the train, learn about coding as well, track, how to work the train, the bell, the whistle, all of it. They enjoyed it, and they had the chance to have a graduation ceremony on the train as well. In 2021, with the help of our past president, Mike Patrick, we raised enough money to raise and build our 4th coach car. So in the middle of the pandemic, finishing this car allowed us to increase our capacity, which was wonderful because everybody was all about increasing their capacity during the pandemic so we could get more riders. So that allowed us to add 56 more passengers, and also it allowed us to have more passengers in our peak 4th quarter of Santa Claus too. Right now, we're currently working on our restoration of our diesel engine there, also going through the tunnel. It will be painted by the end of this year. We're very excited about that. In the middle of the pandemic, we were able to raise well over $100,000 for 3 main restoration projects, one being the painting of the diesel engine. The second is our gondola car. The gondola car is our bike aboard program. So anyone like to ride bikes? Yep. So you can now ride your bicycle on the rail trail and not have that moment of, oh, I got to turn around and go back. You don't have to now. You can get on the train for a half-price train ticket and ride back to your original destination. So we run those about every month, and that was supported by the Community Foundation, the Economics Alliance, and the Wareheim Foundation. So we're very grateful. That was about a $50,000 project, and it's a 1906 gondola car. So it's our oldest piece of equipment. Our last restoration project that we're just finished up, the paint is still drying on it, is our caboose car, thanks to Phil Yates. It will actually go into commission this weekend. We're very excited. It'll be the first time it's running. So the caboose project was funded by Phil, and it is a great way to host a pizza party or have some beverages on the train if you would like. And it has the great cupola seats so you can look up above and see everything along the tracks. This old piece of equipment is our newest restoration project that we're working on. That's actually an 1800s Belgium steam engine. And it used to be used in the coal mines, and that's how they would transport the coal, was with this little steam engine. So the equipment was donated to our organization, and we're in the process of restoring it right now. So there will be a sneak peek of it this coming weekend. And then we also had the opportunity to move our facility to the actual original train station last year. It became available. It used to be the Rail Trail Cafe for many years, and it only felt right for the train station to operate out of the original train station. So that's what we did. We moved into there in November. So we're very proud to be working out of the original station. And then there's also the train museum that's owned by the Parks Department that we help operate for them. Every year we have our famous Cowboy Weekend as well. It brings over 1,000 visitors. And I am proud to say that last year was our first profitable year of our Cowboy Weekend because it's one of our major fundraising events. So if you haven't been down for a Wild West Express or been robbed by the Cowboys yet on our line, I highly suggest it. It's fun for all ages. Kids love it. Adults love it too, because the Cowboys are a complete riot when they're out there. So that is October 14th and 15th. It's the second weekend of every October. Okay. Our fourth quarter is our most important quarter for us. Believe it or not, 40% of our riders actually visit us the last 3 months. So talk about fundraising goals for me. I have to find funds for the rest of the time. So the fourth quarter is a very important quarter for us. It is the time for you to come see the beautiful fall foliage. It's one of our peak rides. We also have we'll have October 1st. We have brewery tours coming to do Ales on the Rails with us. Abraham Lincoln always comes Veterans Day weekend. And then Santa Claus, big hit at the railroad. Everybody loves Santa Claus. And we've actually developed a Elf on the Engine. It's a spinoff on Elf on the Shelf for kids to come and enjoy some little bit of elf magic and mischief. And I'm proud to say that it's exclusively ours for the next 2 years. So another good business decision that we have made for the organization. We've accomplished a lot. I'm very proud. I can say myself and my fellow director, Dan Trump, we've worked very hard under the great guidance of our board, and we've been able to accomplish a lot. But there's still so much more for us to do, and we're very excited about it. So we are very happy to be celebrating our 10th anniversary this weekend. I think Bill and Reed would be thrilled that we've made it this far and we've accomplished what we have done so far. This weekend is a huge weekend for us. We'll be running 6 trains. Our steam locomotive, our William H. Simpson, will be out. We'll have our diesel engine out doing a special Howard Tunnel dinner train, our first one. And then we've also brought in, if you have watched some of the news lately, we've brought in another steam engine. It's a Mack 85. So we've got the 1800s, the 1920s of the steam engine that we brought in as our guest engine, and then our diesel engine of the 1960s. So we have several decades covered of locomotives and railroad history right here in Pennsylvania on the NCR line. So we'll be celebrating that. We'll be celebrating Bill and Reed's accomplishments, and we're very proud. So I hope you can come down and join us. Tickets are only $17. It's the cheapest they're gonna be. So please come now. So we're very excited. We'll also have William Goodrich will be doing a performance. Abraham Lincoln will also be there. We have a book signing and STEM education and the Cowboys. I think they're going to rob us again, but I don't know. We haven't confirmed it yet. We also have a few other projects coming up as well. We are working on dining cars. So this is a huge deal for us. It'll probably be about a $500,000 project that we're going to be working on. We have a couple cars in mind. We would like to start doing guest chefs to come on board, have a dining experience, a fun date night with your gal or husband. And that will give a new experience and new profitability for the organization. We also have officially got our liquor license, thanks to Larry Himes. No, it was not a $250,000 investment. We found an old railroad rule. So thank goodness for old Pennsylvania railroad laws, right? So we were able to get our liquor license. We're very excited. We have goals of getting it launched by this weekend, but we'll see what happens. So that'll be exciting that you can enjoy a glass of wine while you go through the beautiful Heritage Rail Trail area. We also have a hands on the throttle experience. So if you would like to be the guy or the gal in the cab driving the train and blowing the whistle, you will have that opportunity by the second or third quarter of this year. So that'll be very exciting. I know I want to do it. So we'll see what happens. Our goal is really to become sustainable. We do have a lot of challenges. Unlike most 501c3, we are very capital intense. The train is not cheap. The track maintenance is not cheap. So we need your support to help us continue to have the safety on the train and bring new experiences and tourists into York County to experience what we have to offer. So there's lots of ways for you to get involved. First, come down, ride the train, and see what we have to offer. It's like a Hallmark movie. I can't explain it any other way, but it's a wonderful experience. You can donate towards a specific project if you'd like. You can make a multi-year pledge and help us get through that first quarter when we're not having 40% of our riders come in that door. We have a membership program. You can say you own a piece of the railroad by making a donation to a rail tie if you'd like. We have an engineers club, so you can remember us always. And we have our endowment fund. And we're always looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in being a conductor or helping us, I know JT Han was our next conductor. He's going to do it because he did a fabulous job at the land trust presentation. So we would love for you to get involved. We would love for you to come down and see us. I've been with the company for 3 years and I have to pinch myself on a daily basis because it's such a wonderful organization with such a great mission. So I hope you get the chance to come down and see us, especially this weekend. It's really important. So thank you so much. I think I covered everything. Do you have any questions for me? Yes. How do you turn the train around? That's a great question. It's actually a $250,000 question. We will need to do a turntable. So right now it will either run engine facing or tender facing front with a push or pull. So half the time it's facing the right direction when we're headed southbound. Northbound, it's actually tender facing. So we would have to build a turntable that actually turns the whole locomotive around. Good question. The question was, how do we connect we connect 4 out of the 5 boroughs, and how do we get to the last borough? So last borough is actually downtown York for us. So it's just that last 2 miles, the stretch is what we need. And we're there because we are in New Freedom. We run through Railroad. Yes, that is a borough here in York County. Glen Rock, 7 Valleys. And just that last 2 mile stretch is all we need to hit downtown York. And that's a very loaded question. So the Hanover part, so the track's no longer there. So when you look at that Hanover Junction, when you're facing northbound, you see the track with the Heritage Rail Trail. And then on the left side, there's like a track that disappears, right? So that would have been the Hanover line to take you out to Gettysburg. So, and that track's all been pulled up, unfortunately. Any other questions? Is there a timetable to completing the last 2 miles? We get closer every year. It's been a 10-year challenge. The challenge is that it's owned. So there's York Rail, which is a freight line, lovely people, owned by G&W. And then they're also owned by another conglomerate, and then another conglomerate, and then another conglomerate. So we've had issues with communicating with G&W to make that last stretch work. We're ready. We will make it happen when the time comes. But until we get clearance, it's kind of on hold for us, unfortunately. But we're still working on it. We still have conversations every year. It's still there. We haven't given up. Yes, sir.
Right away still exists, I think.
So the question is, how much is the cost of mileage per track? In the right of way. I don't know the answer to the right of way question. My counterpart, Dan Trump, would probably have a better answer for you. But I can get your name and follow up with you. But when we expanded 10 miles of track, it was about $600,000 for us to do that. And it was supported with a multimodal grant and then our capital campaign. So depending on how much mileage it is, a pretty hefty project for us to take on. I think there was one more question over here. No? All right. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I didn't play my video. You want to play the video? Yeah.
Northern Central Railway is an excursion railroad that makes time travel possible. Come enjoy an authentic experience where you can meet presidents and generals, discover the Wild West, get in the spirit of the season any time of the year, and literally ride along the very rails that helped build our nation. It's a breathtaking journey with gorgeous countryside and quaint towns with something fun for everyone. Tickets are on sale now at northerncentralrailway.com. All aboard!
Ashley, our sincere thanks for your presence here with us today, and more importantly, for the great work that you're doing in raising support for this event, for this asset rather. I'm a fellow development officer, and I know that key to success in development is having a passion for the cause that you're working for, and your passion for this was quite palpable and quite wonderful, and we thank you. I think you know that Bill Simpson and Reed Anderson were two beloved members of this club and this community, dear to us, and seeing that work continue, seeing their legacy live on and thrive. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said they'd be very pleased, and we're pleased as well. In honor of her time with us, Ashley has signed the book plate in the book, "Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus," not to be confused with the train. And she tells us this is one of her daughter's favorite books. So we picked a good one here by Mo Willems, and it will be donated to the York Day Early Learning at York Tech, along with a bookmark created by students at Creative York. Next week, we will hear from Todd A. Shamash, President and CEO at Capital Blue Cross. He has been credited with leading pivotal changes during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond to guide Capital's emergence as a leading health plan in one of the country's most competitive healthcare environments. Todd has a unique background for a CEO, close ties to the region and our communities, and an unwaveringly positive outlook for Central Pennsylvania, the healthcare industry, and Capital's role in shaping them. Join us for his presentation next week. He will speak about the current dynamics of healthcare, the shifting dynamics in our region, Capital's successes in bringing improved health and wellness to its members, and as the only health insurer headquartered in Central Pennsylvania, insights into Capital's continued legacy of community engagement. Our closing quote for today: "What we wish, we readily believe. And what we ourselves think, we imagine others think also." Julius Caesar, undoubtedly uttered sometime before the month of March. Oh, come on, folks. This meeting stands adjourned. Have a great day.